The battle ended not with a final explosion, but with silence. A deep, heavy silence that spread across the void of space like a fog. The Valoran Armada, once 4,000 ships strong, had been reduced to scattered groups of survivors fleeing in every direction. The mighty empire that had conquered 300 worlds had met its match against 12 human vessels. 11 human vessels now. The Silver Arrow was gone, sacrificed to destroy the flagship. But its crew had survived, saved by Yuna's final order to abandon ship. They now stood aboard the Dawn's Light, watching the aftermath of their impossible victory. Commander Junho sat in his chair, his face showing nothing. Inside, he felt everything: relief, grief, pride, exhaustion. He had led his people into a battle they were never supposed to win, and they had won anyway. He did not know how to feel about that. He suspected he never would. "Commander," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving a transmission from the Valoran secondary command vessel. It is Ambassador Kira." Junho took a deep breath. "Put it through." Kira's face appeared on screen. She looked older somehow, as if she had aged years in the past few hours. Her 4 eyes were dim, her posture defeated. The arrogant ambassador who had offered humanity slavery or death was gone. In her place was someone who had learned a terrible lesson. "Human commander," Kira began. Her voice was hoarse. I am requesting a ceasefire." Junho studied her for a long moment. "On what terms?" "Any terms you want." Kira's voice cracked. "Please, we've lost enough." "I have lost enough. I just want to stop the killing." Junho looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for his response. They had fought harder than any soldiers in history. They had earned the right to demand whatever they wanted. "Ambassador?" Junho said finally. "I am going to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. Humanity does not want war. We never wanted this. We were happy on our little planet, living our little lives. You came to us. You threatened us. You tried to take what was ours." Kira lowered her eyes. I know we did. We defended ourselves," Junho continued. "That is all. We defended our homes, our families, our right to exist. And we will always do that, Ambassador. No matter what it costs. No matter how many ships you send. No matter how powerful you think you are. If you threaten humanity, we will fight back. And we will never, ever stop." The bridge was completely silent. Every crew member listened with their full attention. "But," Junho said, and his voice softened just slightly, "we also believe in peace. We believe that enemies can become friends. We believe that the universe is big enough for all of us. So here's my offer, Ambassador. Leave this system. Go back to your empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity is not to be threatened, but also tell them that we are willing to talk. We are willing to trade. We are willing to build something better than war." Kira looked up. There was something like hope in her eyes. "You would forgive us? After everything we did?" "Forgiveness takes time," Junho admitted. "But we are willing to try. The question is, are you?" Kira was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "I will take your offer to the Valoran Council. I will tell them everything I witnessed today. And I will recommend that we never threaten humanity again." "That would be wise," Junho said. There was no threat in his voice. It was simply a statement of fact that the transmission ended. Junho leaned back in his chair and let out a long breath. It was over. Somehow, impossibly, it was over. Hana walked up beside him. Her uniform was torn and stained, her face marked with exhaustion, but she was smiling. "We did it, Commander. We actually did it." "We did it," Junho agreed. "All of us, together." Across the fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Crew members embraced each other. Tears flowed freely. Voices broke into cheers and songs. They had faced impossible odds and survived. They had protected their home. They had proven something that the galaxy would never forget. Humans fight back. In the medical bay, Captain Yuna woke to the sound of cheering. She opened her eyes and saw Lieutenant Minho standing beside her bed, grinning from ear to ear. "We won," Minho said simply. "Because of you." Yuna smiled weakly. "I just flew a ship into another ship. Anyone could have done that." "No," Minho said seriously. "Not anyone. Only you, Captain. Only someone crazy enough and brave enough to do what needed to be done." Yuna laughed, even though it hurt. "Get out of here, Lieutenant. I need to rest." Minho saluted playfully and left. Yuna closed her eyes again, thinking about her daughters. She would see them soon. She would hold them in her arms and never let go. She had almost died today, but she had not died. She was going home. On the Dawn's light bridge, Junho gave one final order. "All ships, set course for Earth. We are going home." The 11 surviving vessels formed up together. Their hulls were scarred, their systems damaged, their crews exhausted. But they moved as one, a family bound by the fire of battle. They had entered this fight as defenders. They left it as legends. As they passed the scattered remnants of the Valoran fleet, Junho noticed something. The enemy ships were not attacking. They were not even moving to intercept. They were simply watching, silent and still, as the human fleet passed by. "They are afraid of us," Hana observed quietly. "They actually fear us now." "Good," Junho said. "Fear will keep them away. And perhaps, in time, respect will bring them back as friends." The journey home took 3 days. 3 days of repair work, medical treatment, and slow recovery. But also 3 days of celebration, of stories shared, of bonds strengthened. When they finally entered Earth's solar system, they were met by a sight that brought tears to every eye. Thousands of civilian ships had gathered to welcome them home. Small crafts and large cruisers, private vessels and commercial transports, all of them decorated with lights and banners. The voice of humanity spoke as one, transmitted across every frequency. "Welcome home, heroes. Welcome home." Junho stood at the observation window, watching the parade of ships. Beside him stood Hana, Minho, and Yuna, who had recovered enough to leave the medical bay. They watched together, 4 humans who had helped save their species. "What happens now?" Minho asked. "Now we rebuild," Junho said. "We strengthen our defenses. We prepare for whatever comes next. And we remember this day. The day we showed the galaxy what humans can do," Hana added. "The day we proved that size does not matter," Yuna said quietly. "That numbers do not matter. That all that matters is the will to fight." Junho nodded. "The Valorans will spread the word. Other species will hear what happened here. Some will be scared. Some will be curious. Some might even be inspired. But all of them will know one thing for certain." "What is that?" Minho asked. Junho smiled. It was a real smile this time, warm and genuine. "That humanity is here. That we are not going anywhere. And that we will never, ever give up." The fleet entered Earth's orbit to thunderous celebration. They had left as 12 ships against an empire. They returned as 11 ships that had changed the galaxy forever. And somewhere in the distant stars, Ambassador Kira stood before the Valoran Council and delivered her report. She told them everything. The speed, the courage, the impossible determination. She told them about Yuna's sacrifice, about Junho's calm certainty, about the way humans fought as if death itself could not touch them. When she finished, the council was silent for a long time. "What do you recommend?" The High Chancellor finally asked. Kira thought carefully before answering. I recommend that we leave humanity alone. Forever. They are not our enemies unless we make them our enemies. And if we do? If we ever threaten them again? She paused, remembering the sight of 12 ships charging toward her armada without hesitation. If we ever threaten them again, we will lose everything. The Council voted unanimously to accept her recommendation. The Valoran Empire would never threaten Earth again. And as word spread across the galaxy, other empires and civilizations took note. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. 5 hours into the battle, the impossible happened. The Valoran flagship's shields began to fail. Captain Yuna saw it first. Her sensors detected a fluctuation in the massive ship's defensive barrier. The flagship had been taking hits throughout the battle, small ones that added up over time. Now those small wounds were becoming a big problem. Commander, Yuna reported, the enemy flagship is vulnerable. I have a clear approach vector. On the Dawn's Light, Junho studied the tactical display. Yuna was right. The flagship was exposed, but the approach was dangerous. Hundreds of enemy ships surrounded it, all of them ready to destroy anything that got close. That is a suicide run, Yuna, Junho said carefully. The chances of survival are almost zero. I know, Yuna replied. Her voice was calm and steady. But if we take out their flagship, we take out their command structure. The entire armada will fall into chaos. It could end this battle. Junho was silent for a long moment. He knew Yuna was right. He also knew what he was asking her to do. She had a family back on Earth, a husband and 2 young daughters. She had everything to live for. Yuna, he said softly, I cannot order you to do this. You do not have to order me, Yuna said. I am volunteering. This is my choice, Commander. Let me make it. Junho closed his eyes. In his mind, he saw all the faces of his crew. He saw their families waiting at home. He saw the billions of people on Earth who were counting on them. And he saw Yuna, brave and determined, ready to sacrifice everything. Do it, he said finally. And Yuna, thank you. Thank me when this is over, Yuna laughed. See you on the other side, Commander. The silver arrow broke formation and accelerated toward the flagship. Yuna pushed her engines beyond their limits. Warning alarms screamed. Damage reports flooded her screens. But she did not slow down. She could not slow down. The Valoran saw her coming. Dozens of ships moved to intercept. Weapons fire filled the space around her. Yuna dodged and weaved, using every skill she had learned in 30 years of flying. All hands, she called over the ship's intercom. Prepare for impact. This is going to be rough. Her crew responded with a unified chorus. Ready, Captain. They were not afraid. Yuna had trained them well. They knew what they were doing. They knew why they were doing it. And they were ready to see it through. On the Valoran flagship, Ambassador Kira watched the approaching human ship with growing horror. Her tactical officers were shouting orders. Her weapons crews were firing everything they had. But the small human vessel kept coming, slipping through their defenses like water through fingers. Stop that ship, Kira screamed. Stop it now. We are trying, Ambassador. It is too fast. It is too unpredictable. We cannot get a lock. Yuna was 50 kilometers from the flagship. Then 30. Then 10. Her ship was burning. Her shields had failed. Half her systems were offline. But she was still flying. Crew, Yuna said calmly, it has been an honor serving with you. Now get to the escape pods. That is an order. Captain, what about you? Someone needs to fly this ship. Yuna smiled, even though no one could see it. Now go. Do not make me say it again. Her crew hesitated for only a moment. Then they obeyed. Yuna listened to the sounds of escape pods launching, one after another. 12 pods carrying her people to safety. She had done her duty as a captain. Now she had one final duty to perform. The flagship loomed ahead, massive and terrible. Yuna could see its damaged shields flickering, see the weak point her sensors had detected. She aimed her ship directly at it. "This is for Earth," she whispered. "This is for my daughters. This is for everyone." At the last possible second, Yuna hit the ejection button. Her seat launched from the bridge, carrying her out into space just as the silver arrow struck the flagship. The collision was devastating. The human ship tore through the weakened shields and plunged deep into the enemy vessel's hull. Then it exploded. The flagship shuddered. Secondary explosions rippled across its surface. Critical systems failed one after another. The massive ship began to list, spinning slowly out of control. On the dawn's light, Junho watched the explosion with a mixture of grief and pride. "Yuna," he said softly. "You crazy, wonderful fool." "Commander," his sensor officer shouted. "I have a signal. Captain Yuna's emergency beacon. She is alive." Junho felt his heart leap. "Where?" "Floating in space, about 2 kilometers from the wreckage. Her suit is intact. Hana, get her." Hana was already moving. The dawn's light curved through the chaos, dodging enemy fire, racing toward the small beacon in the darkness. Hana flew like she had never flown before, pushing the ship beyond anything it was designed to do. They found Yuna floating among the debris, her spacesuit damaged but functional. Hana brought the ship alongside and opened the airlock. Hands reached out and pulled Yuna inside. "Captain Yuna is aboard," the recovery team reported. "She is injured but stable. Get her to medical," Junho ordered. Then he opened the channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, the enemy flagship is destroyed. Captain Yuna did it. Now let us finish what she started." The human fleet surged forward with renewed energy. The loss of their flagship had thrown the Valoran armada into complete chaos. Ships collided with each other. Orders conflicted. Commanders argued about what to do next. Minho led the assault wing through the confusion, striking targets with brutal efficiency. His ship was barely holding together, but he did not care. He could see victory. He could taste it. "Keep pushing," he shouted over the channel. "They are breaking. They are actually breaking." On what remained of the Valoran command structure, Ambassador Kira was desperately trying to restore order. She had transferred to a secondary vessel, but her authority was crumbling. Her captains were frightened. Her crews were demoralized. The unthinkable was happening. They were losing. "Ambassador, what do we do?" Her assistant pleaded. "The fleet is falling apart." Kira looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of her ships were destroyed. Thousands more were damaged or fleeing. The humans had lost nothing. Nothing at all. "I do not know," Kira admitted. It was the hardest thing she had ever said. "I do not know how to fight an enemy like this." The humans pressed their advantage. They attacked with precision and fury. They targeted command ships, supply vessels, and communication arrays. They cut the Valoran armada into pieces and destroyed each piece one at a time. And through it all, they never stopped. They never slowed. They never showed mercy, because mercy was for after the battle. During the battle, there was only victory or death. And humans did not die easily. In the medical bay of the dawn's light, Yuna regained consciousness. She opened her eyes to find Junho standing beside her bed. "Did it work?" she asked weakly. "It worked," Junho confirmed. "The flagship is gone. The enemy is retreating." Yuna smiled. It hurt to smile, but she did it anyway. "Good. Tell my daughters I love them." You can tell them yourself, Junho said. We are going to win this, Yuna. Because of what you did, we are going to win. Yuna closed her eyes, still smiling. She had done her part. Now she could rest. The battle had been raging for 3 hours. To the Valorans, it felt like 3 days. Their perfect formation had been broken. Their organized attack had become a chaotic mess. And 12 human ships were still flying. Lieutenant Minho was laughing. He could not help it. His assault wing had punched through the enemy line 5 times already. His ship was damaged, his shields were failing, and his weapons were running low on ammunition. And he was laughing. Thunderstrike, your hull is compromised, a voice warned from one of his wingmen. You should fall back. Fall back? Minho grinned. We are just getting started. He pushed his ship into another dive, targeting a cluster of Valoran destroyers. His remaining missiles launched in a rapid sequence, each one finding its target with perfect accuracy. Explosions bloomed across the darkness like flowers of fire. That is 3 more, Minho reported. Keep counting, brothers and sisters. We are making history today. On the Valoran flagship, Ambassador Kira could not believe what she was seeing. Her tactical displays showed impossible numbers. The humans had destroyed over 200 of her ships. 200. Against 12. How? She demanded. How are they doing this? Her tactical officer was sweating. Valorans rarely sweated. It was a sign of extreme stress. They are targeting our weak points, Ambassador. Every attack is precise. Every missile finds a critical system. It is as if they know exactly where to hit us. They cannot know. They have never fought us before. Then they are learning, the officer said quietly. They are learning while they fight. And they are learning faster than we can adapt. Kira felt her legs weaken. She had to hold onto her command chair to stay standing. This was not supposed to happen. The Valoran Empire was the greatest power in the galaxy. They had never lost a battle. They had never faced an enemy they could not crush out until now. On the dawn's light, Hana was dancing. That was the only word for it. Her hands flew across the controls with such speed that they blurred. Her eyes tracked multiple threats at once. Her body moved with the ship, anticipating every turn, every roll, every sudden change in direction. 2 on our tail, her weapons officer called out. They are locking missiles. I see them. Hana pulled the ship into a tight spiral, forcing the pursuing Valoran craft to follow. They were good pilots, but they were not human pilots. They could not match her reflexes, her intuition, a sheer audacity that she led them straight into a field of debris from a destroyed Valoran cruiser. The wreckage was dense and chaotic, filled with spinning chunks of metal and sparking energy cores. A sane pilot would go around. Hana went through. Her ship twisted and turned, missing obstacles by centimeters. Behind her, the Valoran pursuers tried to follow. The first one clipped a piece of debris and spun out of control. The second one panicked and fired too early, hitting nothing but empty space. Hana emerged from the other side of the debris field, spun her ship around, and fired a single shot. It hit the second Valoran ship directly in the engine. The enemy craft exploded. 2 more down, Hana reported calmly. What is our count now? Fleet count is at 247 enemy kills, the tactical officer replied. We have lost no ships. No ships. 12 against 4,000, and they had not lost a single vessel. It was impossible. It was insane. It was human. Commander Junho watched the battle from his command chair. He had not spoken in over an hour. He did not need to. His crew knew what to do. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this. And now they were proving everything he had always believed about humanity. They were survivors. They were fighters. They were unstoppable. Commander, his communications officer said. "We are receiving a transmission from the Valoran flagship." "Put it through." Ambassador Kira's face appeared on screen. She looked different now. The arrogance was gone. The certainty was gone. In its place was something raw and honest. Fear. "Human Commander," Kira said. Her voice was shaking. "Please. We need to talk." Junho leaned forward slightly. "We are talking, Ambassador. I mean we need to negotiate. This battle, it is not going the way we expected. Perhaps there is a way to end this without further loss." "You offered us surrender earlier," Junho reminded her. "You said we would be slaves. Is that still your offer?" Kira hesitated. "We can discuss terms. Perhaps there is a middle ground." "There is no middle ground," Junho said. His voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath it. "You came to our home. You threatened our people. You offered us slavery or death. Those were your terms, Ambassador. Now you must live with them." "But surely we do not surrender," Junho interrupted. "We do not negotiate with those who threaten our existence. We fight. That is what we do. That is what we have always done. And we will keep fighting until you leave or until you destroy us. There is no other option." The transmission ended. Kira stood frozen on her bridge. Her crew looked at her with uncertain eyes. They had never seen their ambassador so shaken. "What do we do?" her assistant asked quietly. Kira did not answer immediately. She was thinking about everything she had learned about humans in the past few hours. They were small. They were fragile. They were young. But they fought like nothing she had ever seen. They fought like they had been born for this. They fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. "Continue the attack," Kira finally ordered. "But be careful. These humans, they are different." Different. That was an understatement. Minho led his assault wing into another run. His ship was holding together by pure stubbornness and careful flying. His crew was exhausted but determined. They had been fighting for hours without rest. "I need more ammunition," Minho called over the channel. "Anyone got extra?" "I can transfer some from my reserves," a voice replied. It was Captain Yuna from the Silver Arrow. Her ship was the oldest in the fleet, but she was one of the most experienced commanders. "Thanks. Yuna, I owe you a drink when this is over." "You owe me a lot more than that," Yuna laughed. "But we can discuss payment later. Focus on staying alive." Minho smiled. That was the thing about his fellow humans. Even in the middle of a battle for their species' survival, they could still joke. They could still laugh. They could still find moments of connection and warmth, thought it was their greatest weapon. The battle continued. The humans fought on. And slowly and possibly, the tide began to turn. The Valoran Armada was still massive, still powerful. But it was also confused and frightened. These humans were not behaving like any enemy they had faced before. They did not follow the rules of war. They did not know when to quit. And the Valorans were starting to wonder if they could actually lose. Kira watched another wave of her ships fall to human weapons. Each loss felt like a personal wound. 300 conquests. 300 victories. And now, against 12 primitive ships from a backwater planet, she was facing something she had never experienced before. Doubt. "Ambassador," her tactical officer said hesitantly, "the fleet is asking for new orders. Morale is low." "Tell them to hold their positions," Kira ordered. "We still have the numbers. We can still win this." But even as she said the words, she was not sure she believed them anymore. The Valoran scout ships returned with their scans, and Ambassador Kira studied the results with growing confusion. The human vessels were primitive by galactic standards. Their hulls were made of simple metals. Their weapons were basic projectiles and energy cannons. Their shields were thin and weak. By every measurement, these ships should pose no threat at all. And yet something bothered Kira. Something in the way the humans moved. Their formation was too tight, too precise. They flew as if they had practiced this exact maneuver 1,000 times. Each ship knew exactly where to be and when to be there. "Ambassador," her tactical officer said nervously, "the humans have entered weapons range. Should we fire?" Kira raised one of her 4 hands. "Not yet. Scan them again. I want to know everything about those ships." "We have already scanned them, Ambassador. There is nothing special. They are just ships." "Then scan the crew." The tactical officer obeyed. New data flowed across the screens. Kira leaned forward to read it, and what she saw made her pause. The human crew members were not panicking. Their heart rates were elevated but steady. Their brain activity showed focus and concentration, not fear. Some of them were even showing signs of excitement. These creatures were flying towards certain death, and they were excited about it. What kind of species is this? Kira whispered Dot on the Dawn's light. Commander Junho received a second transmission. Ambassador Kira's face appeared on screen again, and this time she looked less confident. "Human Commander," Kira said carefully, "I am giving you one final chance. Turn back now, and we will spare your fleet. Continue forward, and we will have no choice but to destroy you. Please understand that this is not personal. We simply require your planet's resources." Junho considered her words. He noticed the change in her tone. The first message had been arrogant and certain. This one had a hint of something else. Not fear exactly, but uncertainty. "Ambassador," Junho replied politely, "I appreciate your concern for our well-being, but I must ask you a question in return. Have you ever studied human history?" Kira frowned. "We have reviewed your species. You are young. Your technology is primitive. Your bodies are fragile. You have only been traveling among the stars for a short time." "That is true," Junho agreed. "But did you study our wars?" "Your wars?" Kira seemed confused. "You fight among yourselves. Many species do this in their early development. It is not unusual." Junho smiled. It was a strange smile, one that did not reach his eyes. "We have been fighting among ourselves for thousands of years, Ambassador. Generation after generation. War after war. We have killed millions of our own kind. Tens of millions. Hundreds of millions. We have burned cities to the ground. We have crossed oceans to destroy enemies we have never met. We have invented weapons that could end our entire species, and we built them anyway." Kira felt a cold sensation spread through her body. The Valorans were a peaceful species by nature. They had developed advanced technology and conquered other worlds through superior strength, not through violence. They fought when necessary, but they did not enjoy it. They did not seek it out. But these humans, they spoke of war like it was a part of their soul. "Why are you telling me this?" Kira asked. "Because I want you to understand something," Junho said calmly. "We have been preparing for this moment our entire existence. Every war we fought taught us something. Every battle made us stronger. Every loss made us more determined. You are not the first enemy we have faced, Ambassador. You are just the latest." The transmission ended again. Kira stood in silence, her 4 eyes wide with something she had never felt before. She was beginning to be afraid. "Ambassador, the human fleet is accelerating," her tactical officer reported. "They are coming straight at us. Show me." The main display shifted to show the 12 human ships. They were no longer flying in formation. They had spread out into a wide net, moving at incredible speed. Their engines burned so hot that they left trails of light behind them. "They are pushing their ships beyond safe limits," the tactical officer observed. Their engines could fail at any moment. They do not care, Kira said softly. She was beginning to understand. These humans were not afraid of death. They were not afraid of pain. They were not afraid of anything. On the dawn's light, Hana sat at the pilot controls with a grin on her face. Her hands moved across the panels with practiced ease. She had been flying ships since she was 16 years old. She had logged more combat hours than any other pilot in the fleet. And she had never felt more alive than she did right now. Minho, you ready? She called over the communication system. Lieutenant Minho's voice crackled back from his assault ship, the Thunderstrike. Born ready. Just give the word. Minho was the youngest officer in the fleet. He was only 24 years old, but he had earned his position through skill and courage. His specialty was close combat, flying straight into enemy formations and causing chaos. It was dangerous work. Most pilots who tried it died within months. Minho had been doing it for 3 years. All assault wings, form up on me, Minho ordered. We hit them fast, we hit them hard, and we do not stop until they break. 4 ships pulled into position behind him. Their crews were all volunteers, all young, all eager. They knew the odds. They came anyway. Commander, Hana said over the channel. Assault wing is ready, waiting for your order. Junho looked at the tactical display. The Valoran Armada was massive. Thousands of ships spread across millions of kilometers. Their firepower could vaporize planets. Their shields could withstand almost any weapon. Almost. Hana, Junho said calmly. Do you remember what I told you when you joined my crew? You told me to trust my instincts, Hana replied, and to never hesitate. Then do not hesitate now. All ships, engage. The human fleet erupted into motion. Hana pushed the dawn's light to maximum speed, weaving between enemy fire with impossible grace. The ship shook and rattled around her, but she did not slow down. She flew straight into the heart of the Armada, and her crew followed. On the Valoran flagship, chaos erupted. Alarms screamed. Officers shouted. The enemy ships were everywhere at once, moving so fast that the tracking systems could barely keep up. Fire! Fire! Kira screamed. Destroy them. The Valoran ships opened fire with everything they had. Beams of energy sliced through space. Missiles launched by the thousands. The sky became a wall of destruction. And the humans flew through it. They dodged and weaved and spun. They used every trick in the book and invented new ones on the spot. When a beam came too close, they rolled. When a missile locked on, they released countermeasures. When a Valoran ship blocked their path, they flew over it, under it, or straight through its defensive formation. This is impossible, the Valoran tactical officer gasped. No species can fly like this. Their reaction times are beyond anything in our records. Kira watched in horror as the 12 human ships cut through her armada like knives through water. They were not winning. They could not win, not against these numbers. But they were not dying either. They were fighting, and they were beautiful. Kira had conquered 300 worlds. She had seen countless species face her fleet. Some surrendered. Some fled. Some fought briefly before being destroyed. But she had never seen anything like this. These humans did not fight like they wanted to survive. They fought like they wanted to win. And in their eyes, there was no difference between the two. Ambassador, her assistant said quietly, I think we may have made a mistake. Kira did not answer. She was too busy watching the humans fight. The stars were quiet that night. They always were in the deep void between galaxies, where light took millions of years to travel, and silence was the only constant. But in this particular corner of space, something was about to change forever. Ambassador Kira stood at the observation window of her massive ship, the Valoran Pride. She was tall, even by Valoran standards. with pale blue skin that shimmered under the artificial lights. Her 4 eyes blinked slowly as she watched the small blue planet spinning in the distance. Earth, the humans called it. Such a simple name for such a strange world. Ambassador, her assistant called from behind. We have detected their fleet. They are moving to intercept. Kira turned around. Her long robes flowed like water as she moved. How many ships? 12, Ambassador. Only 12. Kira felt something she had not felt in centuries. Pity. The Valaran Empire had conquered over 300 worlds. Their armada numbered in the thousands. And these humans were sending 12 ships to face them. They must not understand, Kira said softly. Contact their commander. Perhaps we can end this without blood. On the bridge of the human flagship, the Dawn's Light, Commander Junho sat in his chair with perfect stillness. He was not a large man. In fact, by human standards, he was quite average. Brown eyes, black hair cut short, and a face that rarely showed emotion. But those who knew him understood that his calm was not weakness. It was control. Sir, we have an incoming transmission from the Valaran flagship. His communications officer reported. Junho nodded once. Put it through. The main screen flickered and Ambassador Kira's face appeared. Her 4 eyes studied him with curiosity and confusion. Humans looked so fragile to her. Their skin was thin. Their bodies were soft. They had no natural weapons, no claws, no venom. How had such creatures ever left their planet? Human Commander, Kira began, her voice translated through the ship's systems. I am Ambassador Kira of the Valaran Empire. I speak to you now as a gesture of mercy. Your planet has resources we require. Surrender peacefully, and your species will be allowed to live as servants of our empire. Resist, and you will be destroyed. This is not a threat. This is simply the truth. Junho listened carefully. His expression did not change. When Kira finished speaking, there was a long moment of silence. Thank you for your offer, Ambassador, Junho finally said. His voice was calm and polite. But I am afraid we must decline. Kira blinked all 4 of her eyes. In 300 conquests, no species had ever declined so simply. Most begged. Some threatened. A few tried to negotiate. But this human spoke as if she had offered him tea, and he simply was not thirsty. Perhaps you do not understand your situation, Kira said, trying to be patient. We have 4,000 ships approaching your planet. You have 12. The mathematics of this situation should be clear. Junho smiled slightly. It was a small smile, barely visible. We understand mathematics, Ambassador. We also understand other things. What things? Things that are difficult to explain, Junho said. But you will understand soon enough. The transmission ended. Kira stood frozen at her station, uncertain of what had just happened. Behind her, her assistant shifted nervously. Ambassador, should we begin the attack? Kira thought for a long moment. Something felt wrong. These humans were not acting like prey. They were not running. They were not hiding. They were flying directly toward an armada that could destroy their entire civilization. Either they were completely insane or they knew something the Valarans did not. Send scouts ahead, Kira ordered. I want full scans of those 12 ships. Find out what weapons they carry. While the Valarans prepared their scans, Junho walked through the corridors of the Dawn's Light. His crew members nodded as he passed. He knew each of their faces and each of their names. He had served with many of them for years. He stopped at the weapons bay, where his co-pilot, Hana, was running final checks on the missile systems. She was younger than him, with sharp eyes and quick hands. There was a reputation she carried. The best pilot in the fleet and possibly the most reckless. Commander, Hana said without looking up. I heard the transmission. They offered us a chance to surrender. They did. And you said no. I did. Hana finally looked at him. A small smile played on her lips. Good. I was hoping you would say that. Junho watched her work for a moment. Are the weapons ready? Every missile armed. Every cannon charged. Every system operating at full power. Hana's smile grew wider. We have enough firepower on this ship alone to give them a very bad day. And the other ships? All reporting ready, sir. Everyone knows what we are facing. Everyone volunteered anyway. Junho nodded. That was the thing about humans that other species never seemed to understand. They were not the strongest creatures in the galaxy. They were not the fastest. They did not have the best technology or the most resources. But they had something else. Something that could not be measured or scanned. They had Will.Junho remembered his grandfather's stories about the old wars on Earth. The times when humans had faced impossible odds and refused to break. The times when logic said surrender was the only option, but humans chose to fight anyway. Not because they were certain of victory, but because surrender was simply not in their nature. Hana, Junho said quietly, have you ever wondered why we fight? Hana paused her work. She thought about the question seriously. Because we have to, she said finally. Because if we do not, everything we love will be gone. And because somewhere deep inside, we believe we can win. Even when we probably cannot. And if we cannot win, then we make them pay such a terrible price that they will think twice before attacking anyone else. Hana's eyes were hard now. That is what humans do, Commander. We do not go quietly. Junho placed a hand on her shoulder. Get to the bridge. We launch in 10 minutes. As Hana left, Junho stood alone in the weapons bay. He looked at the rows of missiles and cannons. Each one was a product of human ingenuity, built by human hands, loaded by human crews. 12 ships against 4,000. The numbers were laughable, but Junho was not laughing. He was planning. He walked back to the bridge, where his crew waited in perfect silence. Every station was manned. Every screen showed the approaching armada. The Valoran ships filled the display like a cloud of locusts, blotting out the stars behind them. All ships report ready. The tactical officer announced. Junho sat in his command chair. He looked at the enemy fleet one last time. Then he looked at his crew, his family. Today, he said calmly, we show them what humans are made of. The 12 ships moved forward together, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. On the Valoran flagship, Ambassador Kira watched them approach with growing unease. What are they doing? She whispered. Why are they not running? She would find out soon enough.